the most important part in our shell scripting, the regular expressions. Right? Regular expression is a concept of matching a pattern in a given string. That's the basic definition of regular expression. Basically, what it means is basically how you work with the strings. That's what it is all about, right? If you have a big file that has a lot of content, the content either the content can come from a file or the content can come as an output of a command. So assume you have a big content of strings and how you would work with those strings to extract the useful information from that particular big content. For example, you have a very large file, and from that large file you want to extract some useful information. For that you can actually use some regular expression. Basically you try to search for a given pattern in a big file, and maybe you print whatever the useful information you want, you print only them. For example, think about some situations like you are working with some log file in Linux. What is a log file in Linux? A log file is something, basically, what do you say, you have a lot of information in a particular file. What Linux does is, if there is any problem with your system, or if there is any problem with any of the software application that you are running inside your Linux system, what your Linux kernel or the Linux system does is, if there are any error or if there are any useful information it want to log for a particular process, it can log into certain text files in your Linux, right? Uh, for example, people who want to log into your system, right? You have your Linux machine in the cloud, which you purchased from AWS. And if people try to log into that machine, there should be an evidence, right? There should be an evidence that this guy tried to log in, and if he succeeded or not, right? If he had succeeded, then what kind of authentication method did he use? Did he use a password to authenticate, or using a key authentication like we do? And what is the IP address of the user who logged in, and at what time this incident happened? So this evidence needs to be there inside Linux system, and it's not just for people logging into your system. It's for many other things. Let's say you are hosting your website inside that machine. People browse for your website, and some of people request had succeeded, some request had failed. So these kind of things need always have an evidence inside your Linux system. Probably you are saving the history in a text file, which you can use later for some kind of troubleshooting or monitoring purpose. So these kind of situations comes a lot in Linux when you work with real time. For example, you found that a lot of people complaining that they are not able to access the website. When they try to access the website is down. Then you would go into the machine where you are running your website. Of course there is a machine. When you browse for google.com, the google.com content are served to you by some machine on remote. So basically you need to log into that machine. Then you need to check these log file, the evidence you can get from those log files, what happened, what are the error that you see in the log file, and even some useful information like what could be the problem. All those information you can see in those text files, which is kind of very important in Linux, right? Even in Windows also. In Windows also there is something called event viewer. There is some application called event viewer. Through that application you can see any error that happened inside your Windows laptop. Same way in Linux it would be all about log file, some text file written with useful information that you can use for later troubleshooting. So so if you want to work with this log file, yes, then it is recording. So if you want to work with this particular log file, maybe the log file can be very pretty large in size, maybe 1 GB in size, or maybe 2 GB, 3 GB in size. So such big large, such sometime it can be 100 GB in size. So the files can be too large. You cannot open such a file in a VI editor. I mean, think about this. If you have to open VI editor, a 100 GB file in VI editor, the entire file need to be loaded into the memory, and then you would be able to see the file, right? So that is going to be a big time consuming process. Copying 100 GB of file into your RAM, then your VI editor would be able to open that file is actually a big deal for the Linux system, because it has its own limits. It doesn't have enough memory, it doesn't have enough hard disk, and even it would, even if you have it, it's a very very slow process. And you have a content of 100 GB, and you have to look for the useful information. Maybe you want to see what happened yesterday, you need to go to that particular time and particular date, then find out all the logs, and there can be thousands of lines of code, lines of logs inside that area, maybe on that particular hour. So those things are kind of difficult, right? Digging into the log file and troubleshooting the problem can be sometimes troublesome. In your EC2 machine, it won't be a big deal because it is a small machine that you're using for testing. But in case of real production machine, the log file can be pretty large in size based on the usage, or based on different factors. The log file can be of very large size. How you would extract useful information from that such large file is something that we are going to talk about. It's not about the files. I mean, it's basically what I want to say is, it's the content that you want. You have a large content, and in that content you want to work on and extract some useful information out of it. So it could be nothing but the content of your file, or it could be maybe output of a Linux command, right? Maybe your ps command would give you the complete process list, and from that list of process you want to extract some for example, I will show you. Let me log into my EC2 machine. Anybody joined new today? Anybody who is new? Amit. Hey Amit. Anybody, this is your first class nowadays there, right? Okay. Okay, I have two instances. Maybe. Let me log into the machine that I have. Okay. So run this command ps-ef. You get a large output, right? You have a lot of output. Maybe your intention is you want to find out all the process owned by the user Ubuntu. And you know the format of ps-ef command. The first column gives you the username under which user the particular process is running. And in the last column, you see what is the exact program, what is the exact executable file that is getting executed. So that thing you can see in the last line. So there are lots of information that you want, that you can see over here. So maybe my intention, assume there are thousands of processes running in my Linux system. In your case, it could be hardly maybe 100 or 200 processes, but in a production machine there can be a lot of processes running. So assume you have thousands processes running in your system, and you want to find out what process are owned by the user Ubuntu. Maybe you came across some situation that you found that the machine is getting overloaded and you want to know which user is running lot of application in your system. So you know that the first column shows you the username. So what you can actually do is, there's a command in Linux called grep. What grep command does is, if you have a big content, in that content, grep command would search for a string, a pattern, for example, Ubuntu. I want to search for a pattern called Ubuntu. So basically what this command will do is, the ps-ef output would be sent as input to my grep command. That's what this pipe disk symbol does. If you put a pipe symbol, the pipe symbol you can see in your keyboard above your enter button. The pipe symbol, if you put in Linux, what it does is, after one command you put a pipe symbol, the output of the first command would be sent to the second command as the input, and on that content grep command is going to run. So what would happen, what grep command do, in this output, if there are any line that contains Ubuntu, UBU, NTU, those lines would be printed down. As you can see, so now you maybe got a better useful information. You got the process on by Ubuntu, but actually that's not the case. If you can look at it, you can see these are the process on by Ubuntu, and the two other lines also got printed. Why? Of course, because there is a line which says Ubuntu. So that would also happen, right? If there are any, that's what grep command will do. It doesn't care about what is ps-ef command. Basically, output of ps-ef command is what grep accept as input. So in that input, wherever Ubuntu is, those lines would be printed. So here Ubuntu is on this line, this place. Here Ubuntu is in the first column. Of course, that indicate the owner of the process. So actually, only these four are the process that are owned by Ubuntu. The other two process are owned by root. So maybe what you want to do is, you want to put some symbol called character, caret. What this caret symbol does is, it tells grep command that print the lines that start with Ubuntu. Don't print any other line. Only print the line that start with Ubuntu. So for indicating a start, you can use the caret symbol. Then it would show you only the lines that start with Ubuntu. So this way you can filter out. I mean, there are many other keyword that you would use, caret, a dollar. There are different meaning. We will come to that. So I just wanted to show you how what is the purpose of a regular expression. So now you got the list of processes which are owned by Ubuntu. Now let's say your intention is like, you don't want the entire process and everything to be printed. Maybe all you want to know is, you want to know the process ID. That's it. Whichever process are on by Ubuntu, you want to know the process ID. In the second column, you can see the process ID. What you can do is, there is some command which uses some regular expression. It would print the second column. So in the second column is where you can actually see, if you split this output based on space, you can actually see in the second column, you can see the process ID. So printing $2 through awk is a different command that we are going to learn. Run this command, then it would show you only the second column, which is nothing but the process ID. So basically, what you want your script output to be, you can decide by using different commands. So maybe you may have noticed I used another pipe symbol here. So what this pipe symbol will do, this entire output, whatever the output of grep command would be passed to, right, I mean, whatever the output of this grep command would be passed to the awk command, which would receive this entire string as input. And what this particular command does is, it would print the second column. So basically, second column is something but the process ID, and that's how you can get to know what are the process IDs of all the process on by user Ubuntu. So like this, the way how you want it, you can actually extract the useful information that you're looking for. That's what you can do with shell scripting, a regular expression. Basically, the most of the time, these are the commands you are going to use a lot, right? When you have large log file to work with, or this can be the situation. Sometimes you want to get a list of process on by maybe on by a user, or all the process for a particular executable. Sometimes you can see for SSH itself, let's say you grep for SSH, you can see there are many processes under SSH. This is one SSHD process, this is another process, this is another process. So these are the different process for SSD, SSH. Sorry. So you got it right. So then you want to get the PID of all the process for SSHD. Then again over here you can put a out command. So basically how you want your output to be, you can decide, or you can use one of these commands that support regular expression to find out what you are looking for, right? So that's ps aux would show more options. Hyphen a is an option. If you run the command ps aux, you can actually see few more options like the memory splitting and everything. To answer the questions of Amit, a question of Amit actually, what is the difference between ps-ef and ps-aux? If you use aux, you can actually see more columns in the ps command. You can even see how much memory is being used by the process, and how much is the dedicated memory, how much is the shared memory. All these things you can see. How about from a particular user? The third column in ps-ef command represents the parent process ID. Basically, who, which process started the given process. That's what indicated by the third column, Amit. How to save the output to a text file? How do we do that? If I have to, let's say I have this output, I want this output to be saved in a text file. What I can do? Put a greater than symbol /tmp, right? The same way you would. All right. These are nothing but Linux commands. So the same way how you did for the other commands. If you run this particular command by putting a greater than symbol, then put the file name, you can see the output inside that file. Or if you put double greater than symbol, single greater than symbol will actually override the file. If you put double greater than, the result would be appended to the file. Whatever result is there, it will not delete any existing content from this file. What it does is, whatever output of the present command would be inserted, basically appended to the file. So if you open the file now, you can see again the same set of things got appended to the file. So you got it right, why you want to use regular expression. Or it can be, you can work these commands on a file also. Let's say for example, there is a file test.txt, and inside this file I am putting some information, like I'm copying a lot of data, some data into this particular file. I'm creating a new file test.txt, and assume inside this file I have the information. I can run the grep command on the file also, grep ubuntu test.txt. This is also something I can do. Or I can even type like cat test.txt pipe grep ubuntu. This is also fine. So if you have a file that has the content, you can work on that file also, either by running the command grep, then the pattern space the file name. Cat command, basically it would print you the file. So cat test.txt does nothing but whatever the output of whatever the content of test.txt would be printed onto your terminal. That's what cat command will do. Okay, so basically the same way, you run the cat command first and you know the output, and this content you want to work your grep command on, so put a pipe symbol, then put grep. The same way you run ps-ef, right? It generated an output, and on that output you want your grep command to work on. Same way, right? Cat test.txt would print the entire file content into your terminal. Then you work your grep command. Okay. So these are the different uh, patterns you would use. Tanmay, yes, we provide the file name. So these are the different symbols you would use.
Hi. Hey, Basil, I have a question. Can you do a cat on the log file or no? Is it recommended?
It's actually not. But depending on the size of the file. So if you have to run a cat command on a 1 GB file, remember you need 1 GB RAM, right? Cat basically such large file you want to print into your terminal could be a big deal, right? It can give lot of trouble to your Linux kernel. The load would increase.
If the output, Basil Harish here, if the output file having the more memory, so that time cat can be usable for print purpose.
The output.
For example, test.txt having the lot of information. So
Yeah,
if I want to print that file, cat can be usable.
Cat can be used to print that file, but always remember when you run the cat space file name, what actually happens is the cat.txt is in the hard disk, in your hard disk. From the hard disk, the file need to be copied to the RAM. Then cat command can print the file into your terminal. So it's a big deal. Copying 1 GB file to the memory, and so reading 1 GB from hard disk can take time. Right? Reading that 1 GB size file from the hard disk will take time.
Is there any alternative? For example, if I have the output file having more data, apart from cat, is there any command?
The grep command, if you run on a file, it actually it doesn't search one shot inside the file. It will run some algorithm and split the file into small parts, and on that it will search. You can run this way: grep pattern test.txt. So in that case, what happens is this file portion, the command would execute on portions of the file by grep command, not the entire file at one shot. Not the entire file would be copied into the memory at one shot.
Okay, if I run grep test.txt/grep ubuntu, it will display same output as it is of cat.
Yes, correct. It does the same thing. Either you can run this way, cat grep pattern file name, or you can type like this. Both are same, no differences.
Okay. And one more question I pinged in chat. If I want to kill particular processor that can be overloaded, for example, my machine is trucking due to some processor. Can I know the exact how much PS minus EF slash grep it will showing the PS minus EF it's showing the processes which is running in my machine. Okay. Now if I want to know the particular processor, it will take too much load.
Top command.
Top. Okay, the top command. So after that, the top command, and if I want to kill the particular processor, if I kill the particular processor, the command is for the kill -9 that process ID, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, if I using that particular process set, because 1101 it will parent of another process also. It will kill all the processes along with the 1101.
Depends on
Okay,
how the child process are created,
okay,
right? It's all, sometimes it will, if you kill parent, all child would be killed. Sometimes it wouldn't
okay,
kill the child also. uh,
okay,
it depends on the way how the process were created.
okay. Yeah.
So, and one request to all of you, any questions apart from what we are going through right now, put them together in the chat, or we will discuss at the end. That would be helpful, because since there are many people, it could be little leads to little bit of confusion if we discuss different topic. Got it, right? So put those questions together in the chat. We will discuss at the end. Krishna, can you go on mute? All right. So the we will take a look at what are these different options, right? The caret symbol, as I said earlier, it it matches the starting of a line or beginning of a line. For example, you have seen this example, ps-ef command. Then you want to see the content, the lines that start with Ubuntu, UBUNTU. What did you do? Grep, then put a caret symbol. So basically, what caret symbol will do? It matches the beginning of a given string. In this case, Ubuntu. So any line that has Ubuntu in the beginning got printed into the output. Or now let's say your intention is, as you can see, there are a number of processes. These are actually kernel process, and the ones that you see in a bracket, those are a kernel process. So what you want to do is, you want to get a list of those processes. Basically, what you can do, just find out the lines that end with a bracket, square bracket. What's the command? PSEF grep, put a square bracket. Will it work? It would print you all the lines that has a square bracket. Maybe, okay, in this particular case it's working, fortunately, but if you don't want, I mean, if you want to be sure, put a dollar at the end. It will make sure that dollar at the end will make sure that any line that end with the square bracket, right? So this way, or you can put like 0 then a square bracket, 0 followed by a square bracket, and that should be the end of the line. The end of the line would be 0 then a square bracket. Then you can see the line that end with 0 square bracket. So this way, basically the dollar indicate the end of a line. That's what dollar indicate. Very commonly used. This both caret and dollar are very commonly used. Star maybe not very commonly used. Basically, you want to. I'll show you what is star. So you have one file test.txt. So I cleared the file test.txt. I'm going to put some content in it. This is a test file. Then I put hello t. hello double T, hello triple T, T 4 times, right? T 5 times. Okay, fine. So now what I want to do is, you saw the content. You can cross check the content by running a cat command. Now this is the content of the file. Now what I'm going to do is I'm putting a T star. I think this is how I should do it. Yeah, I am putting a T star. What T star indicate is either zero number of T or n number of T. Those pattern would be matched. That means if there are no T at all, it will still match. Maybe what I would do is hello T. I want to search for hello T. Hello T, then I put a star. What does that indicate? Maybe I'll create a new one more content. I am putting one more content called hello, simply hello without T. So now this is how my file look like, and I am running this command cat test.txt grep hello star or hello T star. What happens? It will print hello, because if there are no T at all, it will still match T star. Right? It will still match T star. Now let's say I am putting T double star, sorry, T star. Now you can see this time hello did not got print. The reason is this time you put only T star. That means even if there is no T, it will still match. Hello will match. In this case, right, this is one string. So T star means again it will match hello T, hello, then any number of T. So this is how the star works. Maybe not, I don't know, in real time I haven't used it much. It's very rare. Dot is something that can match a single character. Let's say that is something very useful. Let's say you have some file, this test file. This is a TSST file. Hello TNST, something, right? So I have something called test. I have something called TSST. I have something called TNST. So basically, I want to, maybe I came across a situation. T, whatever character, followed by ST is the pattern that I want to search for. Right? T followed by whatever character, followed by ST is what I want to print. So what I'm going to do is run the command grep T dot st. Dot means it will match any character but a single character, of course. Only a single character can match. Grep T dot st test.txt. So what this command will do is T followed by whatever character followed by st. All those lines would be matched. And if you want to specify a range, let's say 0 to 9 or A to B, capital A to capital Z. So if you want to specify a range, you can use square bracket. Then you want to negate the occurrence of a character, you can use this square bracket and put a caret symbol inside it. Basically, you don't want that particular caret to be printed, right? You want the remaining thing to be printed. Then you can put like this. Word, you can simply put word. Escape character is something like, okay, I will tell you what is escape character. Let me go ahead, open this file. The price of item is $100. Okay, I have some line like this inside my file test.txt. So I want to search for $100. How I will do? Grep $100 test.txt. I put that in a single quotes. It works. I put that like this. Okay. Put that in double quotes. All right. Okay. But right now, what actually happened? You need to understand. The dollar is taken as a symbol. Grep considered dollar to be a a something that matches the end of the line, or this time it was taken as a variable. So basically, as you can see, grep took it like $1, then 00. $1, it found that $1 is empty, then it looked for 00. So basically the actual command compared 00, but that was not your intention. Your intention was you wanted to search for the string $100, but how grep command took it? Grep considered this is a variable $1, which is a empty variable. Then what was remaining? 00. So what grep command did is it searched for 00 and matched one line. That's what the grep command did. But that was not your original intention. What you can actually do is you need to tell grep command that please consider dollar as a normal symbol. It is not any special character. Consider dollar as a normal symbol by putting a backslash in the beginning. Now you can see look at the color. This time it was only 20. Here you can see the entire $100 is matched now. So basically, sometimes you would come across a situation you want to use some special character inside your grep command or inside your regular expression command. In that case, what you can actually do is put a backslash in front of those characters, which will basically tell grep command that okay, this is a normal symbol. Just skip that. It is a normal a search string. So any special meaning this dollar will have would be escaped by putting a backslash in the beginning. Show one example of a word. Yeah, this is actually a word. Maybe yeah. Maybe let me look at 00, 100, 1000. Again put 0011, 0022, 0055. So you have many lines inside this particular file. Now my intention is I want to find out if there is a pattern called $100 in the file. That's what I was trying to do, right? So I run this particular command. That's what I first tried to do. But what happened in this case? It is printing me every line that contains 00. How come? It should be $100 which I am searching for. The reason is grep command consider dollar as a special character. And in this particular case, $1 as a variable, which is in fact an empty variable. So what is remaining? It's only 00. So what grep command thought is your intention is to search for 00. And then it looked inside this file. Wherever it contains 00, it got printed. That's what happened. But that was not my original intention. I want dollar to be considered by grep command as a normal search pattern which I want to search for. Put a backslash in the beginning, then it will match exactly $100. Got it? So this is how the backslash work. If there are any special character, put a backslash in the front. The meaning of the special character will be escaped.
Basil, this exception is only for dollar symbol.
For any special characters. In Linux, dollar is a special character. Again, caret is a special character. Then there are other symbols also which are percentage. There are other symbol. Star is a special character. At the rate is a special character. There are few special characters that has different meanings in Linux. So whenever you want to use a special character in your search pattern, you must also put a backslash in front of that character to make sure that grep command does not consider that as a special character.
Basil, but before that, we are searching as a cap Ubuntu. That time we display Ubuntu words only. That time we don't use this slash character.
Yeah, they were all. This is normal string. Ubuntu is nothing but a normal string,
Okay.
right? Ubuntu.
I mean, if you use a dollar, it will take as a special string, correct?
Yeah, that is the dollar. To grep command, a dollar has a special meaning. End
Okay.
with a pattern. So forget about
And one more
that.
doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dollar you
We
can
are
use
talking
it two
about the
ways, right? Dollar you can use it two ways. One way can you want your grep command to print the lines that end with a given pattern. You can simply put a dollar. But what if you want to use the same dollar inside your search pattern? You want to search for dollar. Then you should put a backslash in the beginning.
Okay, and one more thing. Now you said the backslash for escape. So here, word, for example, I want to search a particular word in this command in the test.txt. So
Grep
that time,
or grep this test.txt. You can simply
okay, directly. Okay.
if it is a normal string that contains only letters or numbers,
Okay.
you can simply run like this.
Okay.
Do one thing, take a short break of 5 minutes. We will continue in 5 minutes. You got the idea, right? Why you want to put a backslash character? You want to put a backslash character if there are any special string which you want grep command to consider it as a normal character that you are searching for. That is when you put a backslash in front of dollar. Otherwise, you don't put. So the command that we are going to learn are basically mainly these are the commands. There are many commands which support regular expression in Linux. VA command, your VA editor, inside your VA editor you can run a set of command if you want to find and replace a string, probably something that you do using your notepad, right? If you open notepad, then you have an option find and replace. You can search for a string, replace the string with a new string, something that you can do with notepad. So same way you have option to do the find and replace command with some regular expression if you open file in the VA editor. Maybe I will show you. I'm going to create I have the file test.txt. Maybe what I want to do is, wherever there is something called 100, I want this 100 to be replaced with 200. There are 1, 2, 3. There are 3 places which repeat the pattern 100, 1, 0, 0. Wherever there is 100, I want them to be replaced with 200. Maybe, but here it is 1000. So I don't want to change this. So what I want to do, any line that end with 100, I want to change it. In this particular case, that's what I would prefer to do, because I don't want to change this line that says 1000. I want to replace 100 with 200. That's what I want to do. So in this case, what I would do is, there are only 2 entries that end with 100, this line, and both 100 I want to replace. So if you are in a VA editor, what you need to do is put a colon symbol, %s, right? %s is what indicate replace, substitute. S for substitute. Substitute. What you want to substitute? $100. Any line that end with 100 is what you want to substitute with 100. Then that should be the end of the line. That means this would be matched, this would be matched. What I want it to be replaced with? 200. If I want to do it globally, put a G. So run this command, you can see this is replaced with 200, this is replaced with 200. So this kind of thing you can do inside a VA editor also. In a VA editor also, you can run your regular expression command. So we will come to this. I mean, we will come to the pattern. So we are not going. Mainly, we would be focusing on these 3 commands that support regular expression. The first is nothing but our grep command. So you already have an idea what grep command will do, right? Grep this test.txt. So basically, what it will do, it will look for this, t is capital, this inside this particular file, and if any line match, the lines would be printed. That's what this particular grep command will do. Now what I want to do is, and you know these things, right? Start with this, end with file, right? These are the things that you can do. Okay, so grep space this test.txt, and grep command is case sensitive. So is every Linux commands is case sensitive. I will show you one example. I'm putting one more line. This is just for testing, and you can see there is a pattern like this with t is equal to capital. Here this the same one, but the case is different. It's small case. So run the command grep this test.txt. By default, it is case sensitive. It will not print you if the case is different. So if you want your grep to do a search insensitive of case, you can put a -i symbol. That will make the grep command case insensitive. It will match small this as well as capital this. It won't look for the case. It will match everything. That's what -i command will do. Or sometimes what you would prefer to do is, you want to search for a particular string. If it matches, you simply want to print the file name. Maybe you don't want to print the entire content which are matching. You simply want to print the file name. In such situations, what you can do is, you can use a -l switch. If you use -l switch, the content which are matching will not be printed, but the file name will be printed if there is at least one content that matches this particular pattern. Of course, it matches. In test.txt, there are 2 lines which contains this, That means this matches test.txt. In that case, the file name would be printed. It can be very much useful, I will tell you. That's what -l switch will do. -v switch, what it does is it will negate the character. Let's say I want to search -v this. So any line that contains this, I don't want them to be printed. I want the remaining line to be printed. So basically negate this particular pattern. So what happens is the line that contains this will not be printed. All the remaining lines are printed, as you can see. That's what -v will do. -r do a recursive search. Basically, I will tell you. Okay, you came across a situation. You have a folder. Assume you are inside a folder that contains a lot of log file. You are inside a folder that contains a lot of files, and you want to know, you have a string, you have a pattern, and you want to know this string present in which file. Maybe you have a folder, inside this folder, inside that folder there can be other files and folders. So there can be a hierarchy. So what you want to do is you want to look for this particular pattern inside this folder recursively. That means you want to search all the file inside this folder and any file inside subfolders. So you want to do a recursive search. What I can do is I can use a -r option. For example, I will show you grep -r. Then I want to search for this. I want to search for a pattern THIS, T capital. Where I want to search? I want to search in /root. Which folder I want to search? So what this command do is it would do a recursive search for THIS in this entire folder. It's a recursive search, and if there are any files or if there are any lines that contains this, that will be printed. I mean, those entire content along with the file name will be printed. So run this command. You can see there is one file /root/test.txt that has these two content, and then there is another file called /root/.viminfo that also has this particular string. So it would list down each and every file as well as the matching lines. Got it? Now let's say you don't want the entire lines. Sometimes you would see thousands of, you are expecting thousands of results for this, right? Maybe there can be a single file that contains this at multiple places. Maybe in 100 places, there's a large file. Inside that large file, there are 100 places where this contains. So basically your intention is not to print all the lines. Probably your intention is finding out which file has this pattern. That's what you are trying to find out. You can put a -l switch also along with the command, which would simply print only the file names. In this case, these are the two files inside /root that contains this. So the useful information you can get very easily rather than printing all the matching content. Okay, so the next command in shell scripting, maybe we will not start with our concert, that we will do tomorrow. And there is some assignment that you want to do, which I would give you tomorrow only. There are few assignments in shell scripting that you need to complete. Basically, it would be helpful even when you, right, in the interviews you would get questions, explain about some script that you had written, right? So we will have a final assignment to write some user management script, which you need to finish and Tomorrow we will complete shell scripting. We will complete the awk set command and also the assignment we will discuss. And from Wednesday we will start with our shell Linux administration, the most important part in our training, right? From Wednesday, we are starting with Linux administration. Make sure that you are following classes from Wednesday, which is very important when we start with cloud computing and DevOps. You should be very clear with the Linux administration topics as well as the networking topics that we are going to discuss. Right? That's very, very important. Can we use -v and -i together? Yes, we can use whatever switches that you want to use. We can use them together. Let's say my intention is uh, right, I want the search to be case insensitive, then I want to negate it, so I can use -i as well as -v. In that case, the other line also gone, the line that contains small this is also gone because I use -i and -v together. So whatever switches that we had learned today along with grep command, they can be used together. L, V, R, I, anything, we can use them together. Do you have the assignment from day one? I will repeat the assignment, whatever were given so far, Rahul. I will repeat, just I will discuss now what are the assignment that were given to you so far. Before that, any questions, anyone on shell scripting? Leela, Sahidi, Rahul, Krishna, Kranti, anyone? Yeah. Okay. So I will just talk about the assignment that were given to you so far. Okay. We are covering Aukan said tomorrow, Sunil. So now what I would do is I will discuss about what are the assignment that were given. Okay, a summary of the assignments. First thing, finish the 50 commonly used commands. If you haven't finished yet, do it soon because starting from Wednesday, you will have a lot of work to do at home. So before that, today and tomorrow, complete all these commands, whichever are not finished yet, complete them. Then when you get a chance, read these two tutorials and also investigate the difference between the hard link and soft link in Linux. It could be a sure interview question. The difference between hard link and soft link. I did not any question from anyone after you learned it. I hope you understood it. If not, you can let me know. We will discuss it. The difference between hard link and soft link in Linux, especially if you are in India and you are taking an interview for DevOps, this is a sure question. What are the difference between a hard link and a soft link? Just read this. I want you to read this link, understand what is the difference, right? And for any questions, we can discuss in the class. And feel free. I mean, actually, I hear very less questions from you. Whatever doubts that you have, from now let's spend 10 or 15 minutes or maybe more at the end of the training just for questions and answers. I mean, I see only one or two people asking questions, right? Just make sure that you are following very well. It's important, right? So and these two links are most important. After you finished with the Linux commands, the 50 commands, I want you to start reading this link. It could be little new to you, the introduction to networking and Linux networking. Read this one first, followed by the second one. Actually, The second one is a continuation of first tutorial. So read both of them. Anyway, we are going to discuss about networking, not in a very advanced level, but we are going to cover enough. But before that, I want you to go through this. Uh, Again, if you are from India, these are most important, and you are definitely going to get questions. If you are taking a DevOps interview, you will get questions from Linux, questions from networking part, and most of those networking questions you can get answers only by going through these two links. You don't need to really go anywhere else. And these are the assignment which I wanted you to complete in the weekend. I don't know how many of you did that, but do that. If you haven't done that yet, do that. And then uh, that's all you had your assignment. On the shell scripting part, what I wanted you to do is just work this out, right? It's not a complex assignment or anything, but whatever examples that we had worked out, work it out from your side also, and try to do this script. And maybe what you need to do is create a script that will accept 6 arguments, the positional parameters I'm talking about. Add third and fourth argument and print the sum. If the sum is greater than 20, print a message in the output saying that yes, then sum is greater than 20. Then using a for loop, print all the arguments. So do this assignment. It's very simple. It uses if condition, it uses loop, and it uses positional argument. So just want to make sure that you have a clear idea. And once you finish your assignment, send it across to my mail ID. You all have my mail ID. Send your assignment to my mail ID. I will verify it. And your second assignment would be just create some 15 file in a folder. Rename the files and append .alt if the file name contains ABC. Okay, basically what I want you to do is create a folder. Inside that folder, create 15 files. And if the file name contains ABC, rename the file and append .alt to it. If the file name start with ABC, delete the files. If there are any file whose name start with ABC, delete them. If the file name end with ABC, move those files to a folder /temp. So work this out. Maybe actually these were topics that we are yet to discuss, some of them at least, but now you know how to match the beginning of a file or how to match the end of a file. I think these are things that we already did. We already had finished. How you would do it? How you would make a comparison whether the file start with ABC or whether the file contain ABC. This is the last step, right? So first, what you need to do is look for all the files that start with ABC. How you do that? Put a caret symbol. With a caret symbol, you can identify which are the files that begin with ABC. Then delete the files. Then using a dollar symbol, find out which files end with ABC. Then copy those files or move those files into /tmp folder. All the remaining file, if they contain ABC anywhere, no, maybe in the beginning, maybe in the end, there won't be anything once you executed these two commands. But if there are ABC coming in between, what you need to do is just append .alt to the file name. So these are the assignment that were given to you so far, and tomorrow we will discuss about few more assignments. Actually, these are mostly regular expression assignments. Drive has the doc. I already have uploaded. Or shell scripting, I think I am yet to. I will upload the shell scripting PPT to the drive. So complete your assignment within 2 days, today and tomorrow, because starting from Wednesday, you are going to be a little busy, right? Uh, the Linux administration, you will have lot of work to do from your side. So finish this assignment before that. So any questions?